This is the recap for live stream 386, and today I had to deal with the VIX being a little bit tricky to interpret. Did think that the primary strategy wouldn't work as well today. Did try to integrate a second strategy. Somewhat mixed result. It worked out in the end, somewhat positive. I'm not going to give up the second strategy I'm trying to integrate, but we'll have a look at the trades. So we started out, I don't think I did very well on NQ, so was a little bit concerned over on NQ. So in the overnight we put in the volume over in this area, had a sell-off as we came into the market. This has moved now. The TPO profile's moved way too long. This is going to be difficult. Okay, let's see. Hide indicators. There we go. So we had the market come into an area I was looking to buy. So I went long, was stopped out. Had a trade on gold on at the time. And I was looking at that, so I missed the re-entry long. That re-entry long would have took us up towards this level here, which would have been where the point of control was on the TPO profile in around this level. So that trade would have worked out. It wasn't able to take it. On the second strategy, had a long setup here. Took the long, was stopped out immediately. Had a long setup again. Took the long, target was hit. On the second strategy, prices pulled back, took a long and took profit pretty early. And the reason I took profits early is because I was pretty close to my daily target. Wanted to just take the daily target off the table. So went long, took profit. If I held the position, the target was around at 71.50, I believe. If I would have held the position, would have been stopped out multiple times before eventually, near the end of day here, the trade would have worked out up towards that 71.50. So that second strategy I'm looking at does need some work in terms of how I manage the trades. Certainly some room for improvement there. Been looking at using footprints to really tailor the entries, really zoom in and be surgical with the entries and the stops. So I'm not going to give up on that strategy just yet. We'll have a look at gold. I think most of the P&L was made on gold today. What's happened here? This is a contract rollover, I could imagine. Yeah, it's probably a contract rollover, hence the reason why there's a gap. So over on gold, again, let's see. We don't have the TPO over here. So on gold, went long here, was stopped out, long again, target was hit. Had that second strategy I was using, and before I started using the second strategy here, I went short. Thought that it was going to be a difficult short, considering the fact that we did make lower lows and higher lows on these occasions. Went short, price came around, stopped me out. Somewhat expected after this move up, expecting it to retrace all the way back. Maybe trying to ask too much of the market. Came in to use a second strategy here. Kept going long and being stopped out multiple occasions. Long again, stopped out. Eventually we had this breakout high volume point here around about 12 Eastern. And this was on the 24th of November. I think I'm recording this just around on the 25th of November, sorry. Yeah, on the 25th. So had the long here, prices came back, decided to add to the position on this candle here. Prices came up towards target, hit the 150 perfectly. This point I was somewhat second guessing whether I should have got out or not. Thinking I was being a bit too precise at the 150. Possibly I should have taken profit at 149.8. Whatever the case is, I was in the trade. Prices pulled back, eventually hitting that 150 there. Oh no, actually I pulled the target down from the 150 down to the 49.8, and eventually we can see there I was filled at the 149.8. Prices of course went up, turned around after running these highs here, which was a high of day. So went through the higher day and we can see prices failed before heading to the downside. Volume fell off, as I could imagine. We're having the contracts change over to the, I think it's a February contract over on gold. Those are pretty much the trades on gold. And now for the trades themselves. So what we'll do now is we will have a look at the overall account, and we can see we started the day around, let's see, 17, oh, after the contracts, we're looking around 1757. This is around where we started day, 1757. We can see here we're going to be up around 1866. They didn't start well at all, had a series of losers, 33.5, 51, before picking up the bigger winner there. The good thing about my trading recently is I've been able to manage risk a lot better, and that certainly has happened due to the volatility in the market. Has allowed me to manage risk a lot better, having the smaller losers and the bigger winners when trades do work in my favor. The only problem is it does affect the accuracy overall. You can see we picked up the 110, picked up 34.8, lost 30, lost 36. So this is the only problem with this strategy a little bit, is we do go for these periods of accumulation of small losses. And we can see here I picked up 9.6, and we're looking at losing 9.6, losing 15.5, 22.8 before eventually going on this run of winners, picking up 67, 151, 200, and eventually this trade, which I took off early because all I wanted to do was to hit the daily target over on NQ, and we picked up 23 there. What we'll do now is we'll have a look at the overall trade performance. So over on the trade performance, we can see here we took a total number of trades of 12, which is a fair amount. We can see here we picked up 108,920, so almost 109 there. We paid a fair bit in commissions. We can see here, which is interesting, our accuracy wasn't great. We only had 4 winners, picked up 8 losers for a 33% win percentage. We can see where we did perform the best is certainly just managing those losing trades. The average win being 87,900, the average loss being 29,225, so less than half the size of the average winner, and that certainly played a part in having the positive P&L. We can see over on NQ had 50% accuracy, average win being 45, average loss being 24.5, so good metrics there. Over on gold, we took 8 trades over on gold, traded a lot on gold, picked up 76.8 there. Only 2 winners, had 6 losers, so the accuracy there was really bad. To only have 2 wins and 6 losses, not great. With 25% win percentage, that's interesting. But we can see here we picked up 130 for the average win, and we lost 3,800 and the average loss. So certainly it's played its role. The average win being quite like over 4 times the size of the average loss, the average win. So despite having poor accuracy, we ended up with positive P&L. So again, even though the accuracy does get a bit annoying, it seems like he's having paper cuts and there's attrition in terms of P&L. When you see how the metrics work themselves out in the end, it's difficult to not continue. So I am going to continue to use a strategy, and try to integrate the second strategy. But I did see, I was speaking to Mr. ETH today, and I do think there are opportunities for refinement of entry. And if I can get that right in the coming weeks or months, certainly can manage risk a little bit tighter. And on the occasions where the market is working in my favor to the upside, probably accumulate profits at a more accelerated pace. But I'm happy with the performance for now. Certainly I'm not going to complain. Been on a very good run over the past couple of weeks, couple of days at least. And with that said, I think I'm going to wrap up the video there. Possibly won't be any more trading for this week, because I believe this coming Thursday we have the US Thanksgiving holiday, so traders may have a long weekend in mind, so they may not trade on Friday as normal. So if anything, it may be next Monday, but we'll see. We'll certainly see. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Good luck trading. Have a great day.